everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Emily.
And today we are getting busy collecting cottage garden seed. Now this year everything's been a bit delayed because of the weather. It's very pleasant, it's very mild. Normal people are happy about that. I am very distraught because it has really delayed the process, but thankfully we are seeing that the seeds are finally drying out. The finches are coming and stealing the seeds, so that's the sign that we need to get outside and get busy. So I know a lot of you have asked for an update on how to collect the seed. That's what we're going to cover today, from poppies, larkspur, nigella, grains, basically everything that we are collecting that will then be available at the Fall Open Garden, which is scheduled for Saturday, September 23rd from noon to 4 p.m. So go ahead and mark your calendars now. Because remember, we only sell this seed at in-person events. And this fall, the Fall Open Garden is going to be the primary time that we have the seed available for everyone to be able to buy. All right, so we're gonna turn this camera around and we're gonna give you an up-close view of what all the plants look like, starting with poppies, which is what you guys have in your possession. So as you can see, when the poppies open these little holes, that's the sign that you can start collecting. Now, ordinarily, I like to wait until the seed pods are like hard and dry, but this year we're just gonna have to go ahead and harvest them because I'll show you, the finches have discovered that the poppies are here and they have been literally cleaning them out. And they eat all the seeds. They're very efficient. We were watching them this morning and you can see they just open little cavities and they go through and eat all of the seeds. And of course, I love yellow finches, but I want the seed to be able to grow again. I don't want to donate it all to the birds. So that's part of the motivation. Now, any of them that are still green and the holes haven't opened, we've got to leave those at least for another couple of days to dry out. So this is a process that occurs over a period of time. It's not like a one time and done kind of situation. Trust me, I wish it was one time and done. I am tired of looking at this messy border. Thanks to the rain, everything is lodged. Now, larkspur are one of the more challenging plants to harvest seed from, in part because it takes them a lot longer to ripen. But you can see here is an example of ripe larkspur seeds. So basically what we'll do is we're gonna cut the entire stalk down, put it upside down in a bucket, and then again, it takes about 2 or 3 weeks for all the seed to actually fall out of the casing. And that's what we're looking for on this. We haven't harvested any larkspur so far. Today will be the day we start. But you can see the larkspur is ripening its seed, but it's also still flowering. You know, and so larkspur is one of those that I always have the least amount harvested, and it's the most time consuming of all the seedlings to gather. So I am announcing that Emily is the queen of Bachelor buttons. And actually last week you sent me the cutest text. You called them gentleman's buttons.
Close enough, right?
I think that is the cutest name. So, okay, show everybody what you're looking for when you're harvesting Bachelor buttons.
Absolutely. So you're looking for Bachelor buttons. You're looking for the dried out seed. Let me see if I can find a prime example.
You've done such a good job harvesting.
Something you say like this.
Yes, and there's those seeds.
You can see it's kind of dried out here. You'll see some that look like they're ready, but when you feel them, well, not that one, but they're a little harder to the touch. Definitely still green on the underside. You want to lift up the hairs because they can be kind of confusing as well. Basically making sure the seeds are totally ripe, so that way they'll be ready to be sown into the ground and actually produce a successful plant. Just pick them off right.
And by the way, everybody, Emily has already gathered like 6 gallons of Bachelor button seeds.
It's glorious.
All right. So cilantro is another one of the key components for the cottage garden. And you've been busy collecting seed. So show them the difference.
This is unripened cilantro seed. This is the ripened cilantro seed. You can kind of see it's definitely of a darker brown, more of a coffee color, and it's dried to the touch. It's got a little more of like a crunchy texture to it.
And also known in other countries as coriander. Americans are the only ones that call it cilantro. So we have to give this a few more days. And we have another massive patch of it right here. So if you're wondering what your cilantro seed looks like, this is what you're aiming for. And remember, you're going to be putting all of these seeds in the refrigerator for the next few months. So they really need to be completely dry, because if you put wet seed in the refrigerator, it will rot. So this is part of why we need the weather to cooperate and dry out. All right, now the Eschscholzia californica, or the California poppies, are a little bit different from the Papaver somniferum. First of all, they're not actually a poppy. The genus name is Eschscholzia. But show them so here's the flowers, and then show them what the seed heads look like. They're these long spikes, and they will eventually completely turn black, but what we have found is if we harvest them like this, they'll ripen in the bucket because they split open and the seed ejects everywhere, and that's their natural mechanism for spreading. If we wait too long, the moment we touch them, the seed pods open and they spread, and we don't actually get any seed. This is really tedious, isn't it, compared to the big poppies? Yes. It's a very different process, just as far as how many seeds are in each pod. And well, once you start collecting seeds, you really appreciate what you can access in a pre-packaged container. So this is a border of Nigella and money plant, Lunaria. And we wanted to show you this because none of this seed is actually ripe yet. So you see these are still green, and these will turn completely tan, almost translucent, when they are actually ripe. So we don't have any Nigella to show you at this time. We will make a video when this is actually ready to be harvested. Same thing with the money plant. You see, these are still green pods. These will also go completely translucent, and then you'll see the black seeds that are inside. Usually there's 3 or 4 seeds in each pod. But again, these aren't ready. So if yours look like this, just pause and don't do anything to them. All right, so first of all, I think it's great to show how small the Papaver wreaths are compared to Papaver somniferum. So here we've got the Shirley poppy, or the common poppy. This is, of course, what its flower looks like. Lots of different colors. And look at how tiny those pods are. But these are ripe and ready. See, they've got the tiny little holes and they're tan. Now, in contrast, look at the Papaver somniferum, the breadseed poppy, how much bigger these pods are. And, you know, these are small compared to some of the ones that were grown in the ground, but both of these are poppies that were grown in pots. I wanted to show people how, even if you don't have a yard, you can still grow poppies, you know, in a container on your patio or something. And these were great examples of that. And when we're going to harvest these, we haven't done any of this harvesting yet. So today I'm going to have you harvest these, and basically we're taking the stalks down to about here. I want them to be long. That way they can be used in dried flower arrangements. And same thing with the Papaver somniferum. My rule is to cut these when they dry to the first set of leaves. That way you've got a nice long stem that can then be bundled. Because dried, these poppies last forever. And they're really beautiful. You can spray paint them and use them in holiday decorations. And, well, I think they're really awesome. All right, so as you can see, this cottage garden is nowhere near being ready to be harvested. And we have the poppies, both the Reese poppies and the Papaver somniferum. But I also wanted to show you what the cilantro looks like when it's flowering. And, you know, it really adds, I think, an important texture, as do carrots. And you can see we've got a ton of carrots here, but none of these are ripe yet, which is a shame because I'm ready for this pathway to be walkable, and it is not walkable right now. But what you're going to be looking for is they're setting seeds, but these will turn completely brown. So you have to be sure to subscribe and stay tuned because we will continue to post seed harvesting videos as more seed ripens. And I wanted to show you the grains. So you can see right here is a great example of wheat. This is not ripe yet. You see how it's still green versus here, this is getting pretty close. Still, you can see there's green on the underside. You really want the entire thing to be completely brown. And, you know, they're beautiful dried in arrangements, just like the poppy heads. But of course, you can harvest this and then thresh and winnow it and grind it into flour. That's where flour comes from. Like, you know, that is wheat. We're going to be going down to Johnson Nursery tomorrow, so stay tuned for all kinds of information about processing and eating grains. Now, another plant that I think is a really great element in the cottage garden is this Silene corneria. I knew it as Lychnis. Rose campion is its common name. Again, none of these seeds are ripe yet. You see, they will eventually turn kind of tan and they have black seeds inside, but they're not ready yet, so we just have to leave them alone. And remember, your poppies at this stage, do not touch them. The seed isn't ripe, so if you harvest the pods at this stage, you won't have anything that's viable to germinate. So just let them be at this stage. Remember, they will turn tan and have the little openings, those little windows at the top. You can see they don't have those right now. The seed is not ripe, so leave your poppy heads alone if they look like this. So here we've got kind of our staging area for the seeds. As they get collected, they go into buckets, turned upside down. You know, these are poppies that were collected a few days ago, and they usually take several weeks to actually get all the seeds out of the pods. So that's why having them staged in buckets is really important. Now, as we process everything, we will transfer into Taglienti containers. This basically justifies eating ice cream, so why wouldn't you want to do this? So this is kale seed, for example, and we actually have a lot of kale to harvest. This is probably going to be the first thing that you get to deal with today. So we have a huge bucket, and basically we're going to put this in a larger container and kind of beat the seeds up and try to get them off the stems. You can see this is what the seeds look like when they're actually dry and ripe. They're really tiny. Once you collect your own seed, you have a great appreciation for what you buy at the store, because this is definitely, it's a process and it takes a lot of time.
What is this again? Orchids?
So that is kale.
Oh, it's kale.
And you'll notice I write on the container with the date, because it's the only way to remember. And the reason that I put them in these containers is they fit in the refrigerator really easily. And that's a really critical component for seed storage. All of your seeds are gonna have the best germination rate if you store them in the refrigerator, not the freezer and not your pantry, the refrigerator. They like cool, dark, humid, but dry. And so as we collect the seeds, we will keep these in these Taglienti jars, but open. That way they fully dry out before we put them in the refrigerator. And that basically acts as pre-stratification, which is in part why the seeds that we distribute germinate so well, because they've been refrigerated for 4 months before they land in everyone else's hands. And that refrigeration really makes all the difference in the world. You can actually store seeds for years that way, and it'll maintain a high germination rate. All right, so some action shots. We're gonna dump out all that kale. And I did preemptively harvest this because it was flopping over and getting in the way. And really what we're looking for are the ones that are kind of yellowish to purple. And you can see, split those open, and there's the seed. And you know, these have been cut for about 24 hours. You can see the seed is falling out. The more you agitate it, the easier it is to get the seeds out. But again, this is going to probably take a week for all this seed to completely dry. Well, as always, I hope this video will, you know, be useful for you as you start to go out and collect from your cottage gardens. Please, you know, write any questions you have in the comment section so that we can answer in real time, because now is definitely the season to be out here gathering the seed. And be sure to subscribe for regular updates, because we will continue to post videos as more seed ripens. And click that link in the description if you want to learn more about the grain to oven experiences that we are going to be doing down at Johnson Nursery and the gardens of southeastern North Carolina. Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Happy seed collecting.